Hey there, second grade. We are going to be working today on Chapter 12, Lesson 7. We're going to be on page 777. Lesson 7 on page 777. Wow, look at that. Today, we are going to be talking about halves, thirds, and fourths. So we're going to be taking some of our two-dimensional shapes and cutting them into different pieces. So if you want to go ahead and jump in with me, we're going to turn to the next page, 778. And we will get started reading the guided practice for today. Now, make sure you got a pencil. Make sure you are ready to go as we read through this, and we're going to be writing today. Make sure that you have got your pencil or pen ready to fill in as I write on the screen. I want you to be doing that with me. It says, you can partition or separate shapes into equal parts. Two equal parts, or two halves, each part is half of the whole. So when we have a shape and we cut it into two equal parts, and that's one of the keys here today, is we are talking about equal parts, okay? When we do that, then these are called halves. Two parts together are called halves. The next part says three equal, I'm going to underline equal again, parts, or 3/3. Each part is a third of the whole. So when we cut it into three equal parts, then we've got thirds. And then lastly, we have four equal parts, or 4/4. Each part is a fourth of the whole. So we have four equal parts. And the reason I keep talking to you about equal parts is because when we are talking about halves or thirds or fourths, we have to do equal. All right. If I have a shape like this, all right, it's kind of like a square, and I cut it in here, I have parts 1 and 2. However, they're not equal. So these are not halves. So we have to be really careful when we are doing it to make sure that we've got two equal parts, or three equal parts, or four equal parts, to make sure that these are halves, thirds, and fourths. Now, when you're doing this today, if you don't do it exactly right, that's okay. But I really want you to focus on making sure that you are closer to this rather than this down here, okay? We don't want them to be really unequal. We don't want that. We want you to be as close as you can. So just be careful as you're writing today. Well, let's take a look at question number 1. It says, describe the equal parts. Write 2 halves, 3/3, or 4/4. So here I'm going to take a look, and for today, I like to write in as I do this how many I've got. So I've got 1, and it's a bad one, I'm sorry. Again, I'm writing on a Chromebook, so bear with me. 1 and 2. So if there's 2 equal parts, well, then we've got halves. So I'm going to write HALVES. All right, halves. All right. Oh, and I missed the directions. We have 2 halves. All right. For number 2, I can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. Well, 4/4. So I'm going to write 4/4. All right. Let me see if you can do number 3 on your own. See if you can figure it out on your own. Number 3, they've cut it up into those pieces. How many pieces do we have? And then what would we write? Well, I'm going to go ahead and start it now. We've got 1, 2, 3. So we have 3/3. All right, 3 equal parts. We've got thirds. Ooh, here's my next one. See if you can solve number 4 on your own. Can you solve number 4 on your own? Well, number 4, I've got 1, 2, 3 equal parts. So I have, just like number 3, I've got 3/3. 3/3, all right? When there's 2 parts, they are 2 halves. 3 parts are 3/3. And when there's 4 equal parts, we've got 4/4. All right, for number 5, this is the part I was telling you earlier. You're going to have to try to figure out to draw it as carefully as you can. Now, again, you're not going to be perfect, and that's okay. All right, but we want to make sure that we're doing our very best to get as close to equal parts as possible. So for number 5, it says we want 2 equal parts. Go ahead and do this with me. Now, we could do this a couple of different ways. I'm actually going to draw a second shape over here because there's 2 easy ways that I think we can maybe do this. and then I'll go back to my bloop. So the first one is I could cut it across here. I've got 1, 2 equal parts, right? But maybe some of you are like, well, Mr. Campbell, I want to go like this. I want to cut it in half up and down. That's okay too. I've got 1, 2 equal parts. There are many different ways we can cut them as long as they are equal sizes, okay? All right, let's take a look at number 6. Number 6 says we want to cut this into 4 equal parts. 4 equal parts. So go ahead and try that one on your own right now, and then I'm going to go over it in just a second. All right, 4 equal parts. Well, for this one, I'm going to start off, I'm going to cut it from top to bottom, just like that. And again, you can see already, it's not perfectly equal, but I'm doing the best I can, and I hope you're doing the best you can as well. It's really hard for me to erase, so I could have tried to erase it, but if you make a mistake, just go ahead and erase it. No big deal. I cut it into these 2 times, and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So I was able to make my 4 equal parts by cutting it 2 different times. All right, let's take a look at number 6. Number 6 says we want to cut this into 4 equal parts. 4 equal parts. So go ahead and try that one on your own right now, and then I'm going to go over it in just a second. All right, 4 equal parts. Well, for this one, I'm going to start off, I'm going to cut it from top to bottom, just like that. And again, you can see already, it's not perfectly equal, but I'm doing the best I can, and I hope you're doing the best you can as well. It's really hard for me to erase, so I could have tried to erase it, but if you make a mistake, just go ahead and erase it. No big deal. I cut it into these 2 times, and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So I was able to make my 4 equal parts by cutting it 2 different times. All right, that makes it into those 4 equal parts. Turn to the next page with me. We're on page 779, and I want you to go ahead and do number 7, number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. I want you to just work on this page, these problems for right now. I'm going to have you pause your video. Go ahead and do that now. And when you're ready, push play, and I will go over it with you in just a minute. So pause your video and go ahead and answer those problems. All right, I hope that you took the time to go through and answer these problems. I'm going to do that right now as well. So I want you to go ahead and follow along with me. If you made a mistake, just erase it and then go ahead and make a correction, right? This says describe the equal parts. Write All right, hopefully by now you have paused your video and done those problems. If not, pause it now because we're going to go over these answers together. And if you made a mistake, no big deal. Just make a correction as we go. It says describe the equal parts. Write 2 halves, 3/3, or 4/4. All right, so when I take a look at number 7, I see I've got 1, 2, 3. So there are 3, and then what is the next word that we use? Oh, thirds. So 3/3. All right. For number 8, I can see we've cut it into 1, 2 equal parts. So if there's 2 equal parts, then we've got 2 halves. 2 halves, all right? 2 equal parts come out to be 2 halves. The next one says draw lines to partition each shape. And if you remember, partition just means to separate. So I want 4 equal parts. Well, I'm going to go ahead and cut it across. This is just like the one we have on the other side. And then down, and my line's a little squiggly. All right, but there we go. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts inside of here. For number 10, it says 2 equal parts. 2 equal parts. Well, for this one, I'm going to go ahead and go straight down just like that. And now I've got 1 and 2 equal parts. Easy enough. Ooh, number 11 is a little tricky. It says 3 equal parts. 3 equal parts. This might be one where we have to do some erasing, and that's okay because we want to get it as close as we can. Well, I know that I'm not going to cut it in the middle like I did for my other ones because then they're not going to be equal. So I need to go a little ways over and cut it going down, a little ways over and cut it going down. And now I've got 1, 2, 3, and they are pretty close to equal parts. So that works right there. Now remember, we could not do something like this, right? Because these 2 are smaller than the large one over here. Nope, we need them to be equal. We need all of them to be equal, so we don't want that. We want 3 equal parts. For number 12, we want 2 equal parts. You could have done it a variety of different ways. I'm just going to go straight down like that. Maybe you wanted to go left to right. Maybe you wanted to go diagonal. As long as they are 2 equal sizes, that works. All right. For number 13 is going to show us, it's going to ask us to partition the shape in a different way, and then show the same number of equal parts. So for this one, they're showing us, oh, well, we've cut it going left to right. So if I need to have 2 equal ones that are different, I'm going to go to the middle and cut it straight down. And hopefully I'm pretty close to the middle. And there we go, 1 and 2 equal parts. For number 14, they went up and down, so now I need to go side to side, right? So I'm going to go over like this. Ooh, for number 15, they gave us that. Well, there's a couple of different ways I could do this, right? I could choose to cut it like this so that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. I could also choose to cut it like this because then they're equal parts. All right, either one is fine. If you had another way, as long as there's 4 parts and they're all equal, that is a-okay. For number 16, I need 1, 2, 3 equal parts. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it across and then cut it across again, and 1, 2, 3 equal parts. All right, that's how we can do those in different ways. On the next page, for number 17, it says Ava's mom bought a pizza. Ava ate 1 equal part. So Ava ate 1 equal part. Oops, I gotta get my, there we go. Ava ate 1 equal part. Her friend ate 1 equal part. There was 1 equal part left over for Ava's mom. How much pizza was left for Ava's mom? Ooh. Well, I don't know about you, but usually when I have a pizza, it's a circle like this, right? Now we need to figure out what we need to cut this into. So Ava ate 1 part. Her friend ate 1 part. And her mom gets 1 part. So how many was that altogether? 3. So we need thirds. All right. So when I cut my pizza, I'm going to make it into these thirds. So here's Ava. Here is friend. And here is mom. All right. So if that's the case, Ava ate her piece. Friend ate their piece. Mom gets 1. And what do we call these? When there's 3 different parts, we call them thirds. So she gets 1/3 of the pizza. Let's take a look at number 18. It says, Gracie had a round slice of watermelon. Oh, so I'm going to draw my round slice of watermelon. She and her sister shared the slice equally. How much did each girl eat? Well, if there was Gracie is 1 person and her sister is another person, we need to cut this into 2. So how much did they each get? They got 1/2 of the watermelon slice. It was a round circle. They cut it into 2 parts, 1 and 2, and just the 1 slice was what Gracie got. So she got 1/2. Number 19 says, Sadie is making a picture for her cousin. She folds a piece of paper in half. Then she folds it in half again and opens the paper. How many equal parts are there? This is one that would be helpful for us to draw pictures. So I'm going to just draw a picture of my piece of paper. All right, there's my piece of paper. So she folds it in half. Let's go ahead and fold it in half right there. And then if she folds it in half going down, there's going to be another fold right there. When she opens up the piece of paper, how many equal parts are there? Well, we've got 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that's a bad 3. There we go. And 4. There are 4 equal parts. And let me just ask you real quick. If we have 4 equal parts, what is the vocabulary word that we use for that? I hope you said fourths, because we have 4 fourths. Whenever we cut it into 4 equal parts, they are called fourths. Awesome job. Well, thanks so much for working with me today. Your homework for tonight is going to be lesson 7. So this is on page 781 and 782. All right, go ahead and do those different problems and go ahead and bring those in when we come back to school eventually. Thank you so much for working so hard with me today. We will see you next time.